everyone, welcome back to my channel. So a lot of you guys don't know this, but as you can see by the title, I did end up having, I'm smiling because I'm in front of the camera, but so don't take this the wrong way if I'm smiling talking through this. It's just I needed to make this video, one, to share my journey with you guys. Two, a lot of you guys probably don't know what's going on this channel. If you're not a part of our Caissie Pack vlog channel, then you have no idea what's been going on unless you were like a friend of mine on Facebook. I definitely wanted to share my journey with you guys, let you guys know if you didn't know, and this is definitely a way for myself to grieve. It's just, I'm sorry the light's messing up. I'm using natural lighting right now, so it's kind of crazy. This is just like the best way I can grieve, is talking about it, and I think sharing this with you guys is going to help me a lot. So I'm going to just start off by telling you literally everything from the beginning to the end, my symptoms, you know, how long it can take to get pregnant afterwards. Are miscarriages common? Like, I'm just gonna tell you guys everything my doctor told me, and I'm going to tell you our whole miscarriage story. So if you're here to because you're thinking you're having a miscarriage, I'm so sorry. I am going to talk about symptoms in this. If you're here just to be a part of this journey with me, thank you guys so much for coming along, and I have received so many sweet messages from you guys. It has meant the world to me, and I know it did take a little bit to get this video out for you guys, so your messages were kind of past that point. I was already like done with the being so upset, you know, so like the messages were very nice to have at the time I received them. We found out we were pregnant as soon as I peed on the stick and seen that it was positive. I had to call my OB because they told me about a year ago they did surgery and they looked for endometriosis. I did not have endometriosis, but from an infection that I had that was attached to my fallopian tubes, or in my fallopian tubes. I can't remember exactly, but it left a pocket in my right fallopian tube. So it was really at high risk automatically as soon as that positive pregnancy test came. So I went to the doctor and they started drawing my blood every 2 days to see if my levels were going up. They were just going up slow. So it was like 18 and then 164 or 167, and then it was 3 something, and then it was 5 something. So they were going up. They were definitely going up, but the doctor said that they could have just been going up because, you know, you still have all of that in your body, you know, before it starts passing. It's still just breaking down, and the placenta and all that is still building in your body. So that's why the numbers are just going up. So we started telling people. Literally the day after I told my dad, I started bleeding, and it was about it was actually in the middle of the night. So I woke up and I had to pee, and I went to the bathroom and checked. I knew something was wrong, because you know when you start your period you kind of know that it's about to come. That's exactly how it felt. I was cramping just a little bit, but just not enough to be worried about. And I wiped, and there was a little bit of pink on there, and I researched all night. I could not sleep. I called my best friend. I was freaking out with her. I was messaging my other best friend. My sister was here. I went and woke her up. I was really freaking out, and I didn't want to wake Daniel up because I knew he was going to freak out, and he was going to be like, you need to go to the doctor right now. But I ended up searching on Google that it is very common to have light pink bleeding when you're in your first trimester, because I haven't even I just got to the point where I was about to end my period, if I was to have a period, because I was pregnant. I wasn't having my period, but I was at the end of the week I would be ending my period, if that makes sense. I didn't write any of this down, so I'm trying to remember everything. So the next morning, I ended up having I have a doctor's appointment that day at 11. No, actually I didn't. The next day. So I called them to let them know that I was bleeding, and they were like, okay, we definitely want you to come in tomorrow and get your blood drawn and see what we can do from there. Well, then by that night, I was bleeding a lot, and it was dark blood, and I was cramping so bad. Like, I was telling one of my friends here on YouTube last night that it was like you were in labor, but like with an epidural. Like, that's how, like, you know, at the end, I don't know how to explain this. So if you've been pregnant and you had an epidural and you're at the ending of the, like, if you're at a 10, that's the pain where it was. I don't know how else to explain it. Everybody's pain is different. Everybody's miscarriage story is different. This is just mine. Let me just like say that again. So there's that. So I was telling Daniel, you know, I'm really worried because I'm hurting on my right side, and that was where the fallopian tube was. Obviously on my right side with the sac, the pocket in my fallopian tube. So he was like, let's just go to the ER. I'm worried that if this ruptures, you might not make it, because that's what they told me. They told me that if my fallopian tube ruptures, I won't make it. So we went to the doctor. They did a vaginal ultrasound, and they seen the sac but nothing in the sac. So they said, you know, it's either too small because your levels are going up, because they checked my levels there at the ER, and I told them what my levels were in the past time. But like I said, levels really do not matter during a miscarriage. It's really like the week after the miscarriage they really start to drop, because it could take a few weeks for your HCG levels to completely come out of your body. They were like, you know, it's more likely it's becoming a miscarriage. And I lost it. And Daniel was passed out, so I don't even think he heard the doctor talking. Yeah, I think he did, because he was, I remember him saying in the beginning that the baby was not in my tube. That was what we wanted to hear. We were really scared about that, because if it was in my tube, they were going to have to do surgery immediately to get it out, and that was really scary. So he was just thankful to hear that, and I was too. And I mean, obviously the devastating news to me was that he said you're more than likely having a miscarriage, which really sucked. But so anyways, we came home and I cried all the way home. And like, it's okay for your partner not to really understand what's going on because they're not going through it. And don't get upset with them because he had no idea. Like, I was explaining to him that it was like a period, but it was much worse than that. It was physically hurting and mentally hurting. I'm trying not to cry, but like, just remember how upset I was during that time is just. So I'm like, I knew something was wrong all along because the levels weren't going high like they should be. They're going up, but they weren't going up as high as they should be. So since the beginning, I just knew that something was wrong, and it was hard for me to be happy. And I even said that in one of our videos, I think the pregnancy announcement video. And I will leave a link to our vlog channel down below if you want to take a look at our journey from the beginning to the end, which is about 4 videos if you want to go check that out. So the next day I went to see my doctor. No. So the next day I didn't do anything. I laid on the couch the whole entire day, and I was bleeding like crazy, and I was really, really cramping at one point. Like, Liam was like my son. He's 2 years old, if you didn't know. He was jumping on me, and I was like, my sister was here. Thank God. I prayed so much thanking him. You have no idea, for her being here. I can't even explain. But she was like, get away from her, okay? Like, she's not feeling okay. And so he really understood that for some reason and backed off. And I told him, I said, you know, mommy is really hurting right now, and I couldn't even talk really. It was hurting so bad. And so I went to the bathroom because for some reason I felt like I had to go number 2. And I sat there for a minute. This is really TMI, so skip a few seconds if you don't want to hear this disgusting, gross part, but I really need to share this. So I sat there and I felt something, you know, come out of my vagina. And I got up, I looked in the toilet, I even used a flashlight, to see it because I needed to see it, like because I was having blood clots coming out anyways. But I looked in the toilet and it was the sac. I mean, so I just lost it. I cleaned up. This is the weird part. Flushing the toilet was the hardest part. I'm not gonna lie. That is what set me off, because I was thinking, my baby, you know, like, I don't even know. Ugh. So, like, pieces of my baby was coming out, and that was so hard for me. Obviously, it's going to be hard for anybody. I forgot to mention that I was just about 6 weeks. I know that this is really early on. I needed to dry that up just a little bit. So that was, like, obviously the hardest part for me. I went into the living room and I told my sister it happened. Like, the baby's gone. And we hugged for a second, and when the next day came, I didn't stop bleeding. It was constant bleeding. Constant clots were just coming out every time I sat on the toilet. I was scared to go sit on the toilet. But so the next day, after crying all day long, so let me say this, it was about 2 o'clock when all this happened, and I felt better a little bit, but I was still bleeding a lot and still cramping. Like, it just felt like I was on my period. This day was Halloween, of course, out of all days. It was Halloween. Liam he was like so excited for trick-or-treating this year, so I ended up going and taking it very easy, and I kind of think that helped, like, maneuver some things out. I don't know, don't take my word for it, but I do think it did help. Just like when you're about to go into labor, you walk and it helps you go into labor. I just wanted to throw that tip out there, just for anyone who's going through a miscarriage and they can't get the stuff out because they have to, you know, do surgery to remove it if it's not coming out right. Anyways, and if you know anything about a pill, somebody was telling me about a pill that you could take or insert to help get things going. Just let me know in the comments down below if you know anything about that. I'm completely done though, just so you know. So the doctor, I did end up going trick-or-treating, that's what I was saying. So the next day I went to the doctor at 10 o'clock, and they were expecting for me to just go in there and they were gonna just tell me that it's normal. But when I got there, because when I talked to them, I told them it was just light pink. So the next day I get there and I'm like, the doctor got in there and I was like, it's gone. I was crying, and I told him that it's gone, and I just know it because there has been tissue in the toilet, and I told him what it looked like, and he said that this is very common and that he was very sorry. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the camera. I'm trying, like, when I'm thinking, I'm looking off. So then he ended up doing, it was almost like a pap smear. That's exactly what it felt like. He went in and had to examine me to confirm the miscarriage. He went in and seen that there was tissue, and there was, obviously I was bleeding. He also had to check to see if my cervix were dilated any, I guess because, you know, I'm like getting rid of bigger things going through my vagina, I guess. So we talked about it a lot afterwards. At first I didn't have any questions because I was so in shock with what was going on. obviously I knew what was going on, but to hear from my doctor, if you want to hear what my doctor had to say, I'll leave a link down below to the video of him talking and confirming it. He just said, you know, this definitely is a miscarriage and you are going through it right now, and it's gonna be okay, that this is common, and a lot of people have miscarriages and it definitely just goes unknown because they just think that it's their period and their period was late. Like if I was 2 weeks pregnant, I probably wouldn't have even noticed because my period is all over the place. It's not exactly a certain day of the month. Then I asked him, how common is it to have a miscarriage again after having a miscarriage? And he said, well, it's not very common. A lot of people have a miscarriage and then they go on to have a super healthy baby afterwards. Or a lot of people have a healthy baby, then have a miscarriage, and then have a healthy baby, have a miscarriage, have a healthy baby, and that's just how it works. So it's nothing that I did, and he kept telling me that. He said, it's nothing that you did, so do not down yourself about it. And that's what I was doing. I was like, what did I eat? What did I do? Even like down to the nail polish on my nails. I was freaking out, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm overweight. I am, like, all these things that were trapped in my head causing me to think that I did it. And so I'm so thankful that he was like, just know that you're not the one who did this. And then yeah, so he confirmed it. And then I also asked him how early, because obviously we want to keep trying. And I said, when can we start trying again? And I thought he was going to say like 6 months at least. He was like, honestly, you can start trying as soon as we get your levels dropped down to, it has to be like 5 or something like that. With HCG levels, I think it stops at 5. I don't know exactly. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. So we have to get them all the way down, and then I have to have a normal period, get everything flushed out of me, and then the next month we can start trying again. So that's what we're gonna do, and we're just praying and hoping, and I'm just going to try everything I can do to prevent this from happening again, even though it's not in control of me. I'm not in control of this, but I definitely want to just, like, you know, eat better, start working out, drink tons of water. I'm taking prenatal vitamins still just to keep this in my body, to keep those vitamins in my body, and just taking care of myself. That's the main thing, and that's what I should do anyways. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. If you have any more questions for me, my email is linked down below, or if you're going through a miscarriage and just want to talk about it with somebody else that's been going through it, I'm definitely here. I'm definitely down to grieve with you. So thank you guys so much for sticking around. I will be back to my normal upload schedule next week. So I'm going to be working on a few videos this week. Cleaning videos are going to be coming back, I promise you guys. I just thought I'd let you guys know what's been going on. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, lovelies.